Wendy.
The next testimony is Kelly, and the last time we had Ester Company, you were here. Do you remember that?
I do,
And I think you were high at the time.
extremely.
And she was not in a good place. And I remember she walked out. She was sitting at that back table, and she walked out, and she was sitting in the van. And I went out and got her.
Yes, a
And-
couple of you guys did.
And brought her back in, and we ended up praying over her. And Sally reminded me that I prophesied over her for quite a while.
Yeah, you
I don't
did.
remember what I said, but it was shortly after that you were arrested.
Yep,
And how many months did you spend in Brent County jail?
many.
Yeah, many. She's well known, unfortunately.
Right,
So,
right.
anyways, I'm gonna have Kelly come up and share her testimony.
Thank
Of
you.
how God is our deliverer.
Woo!
Provider, our healer, and our deliverer.
Thank you.
I'll get this out of
Sure. Want me to pass it around?
here.
What a difference he's made in my life. I was woke up last night, couldn't get to sleep, because that memory unfolded, and I had to pray. I was higher than anything you could possibly imagine, and coming down from methamphetamine, and when you feel that and you go through that, it's hell. You know, I couldn't imagine someone, me addicted to heroin, because I guess that's a worse kind of feeling, but I'm not trying to give one for the other, but thank you for allowing me to come here today to share what God has done for me. My journey in life has been eventful, with multiple encounters with the law enforcement. I've had to learn some lessons, some hard, some easy, but I stand here today a product of God's grace. My parents have been married for 57 years, just this February, so I'm the third of 4 children. My years started early, when my mom, I would start to wear my mom's clothes and dress up in her clothes, because she's always had the most beautiful clothes in my eyes. You know, kids with sparkles, and you want to wear your mom's clothes. And I started to portray myself as somebody I'm not, which was someone older, someone more mature, and kind of put myself out there. And that's where I feel that my wildness started, and I started to become boy crazy, probably around between 10 and 20 years old, you know, just really crazy. And I started running around. I had a child real early. I was pregnant at 14 and had my first son at 15. Pregnant again at 16. I used abortion for birth control many times, multiple times. My run-in with the law started at about 23 years old, when I thought it was cool to go to jail and start writing out bad checks and being loud and trying to just searching for just excitement, you know, and just started using cocaine at a young age. I believe 23 years old with my third son's father. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, I called it. I like the feeling of the cocaine, where you just feel so empowered, and so, you know, everyone wants you, and everyone, you know, let's go to Kelly's and this and that. It was everything I was looking for, is to be wanted and to be doted over, and to, you know, have that power, and it brought people together and such. And that's when my addiction started, was with cocaine and methamphetamine. I was about 23, 24 years old, and I just had a disturbed sense of being, my increased self-image, power, control, and it's the opposite if you look at it now, you know. My life was way out of control. My children were in and out of foster care. I remember on several occasions, one of my sons, my youngest, or second youngest, Tony, he had just came back from foster care, and I called her up again before she probably could leave the driveway, and I said, come and get him. I'm busy, I want to go. and just being numb to that feeling and not really care nor to care, because we were raised spoiled little rotten brats. You know, we were raised and loved and kissed and told how wonderful we are and how beautiful we are and given everything you could possibly imagine, you know, and that led to dealing methamphetamine in the largest amounts you could possibly imagine. I didn't go small. When I go big. You know, really loud. I was very loud, you could say, in my addiction. I was busted in a controlled buy in Albertville, St. Michael, and I never felt so alone. I was pregnant, 35 years old, and going to Shakopee prison for a 10-year sentence. Out of 10 years, I sat 6 weeks shy of 5 years in Shakopee, and I was pregnant, and I had my daughter in Shakopee, Ariana, and I remember wailing and crying at the hospital when they take her from you, and the guard said, we're not gonna do this all day, you know, and just enough's enough, kind of like, you know, you made your bed, lie in it. And you would have thought after serving prison time, I would have learned my lesson and remained law-abiding, but no, this stack of 32 pages of contact with the law enforcement. I called up the Wright County Sheriff's Department. I said, could I have my rap sheet? A rap sheet is your rap sheet. It's, you know, like maybe my mom or my sister, well, they don't have any, let me see. My brother might have, you know, like driving or a speeding ticket or this or that. So an average rap sheet is, I guess, probably, you know, a page or two. So I asked for my rap sheet, and I gotta make sure this stays. And so they said, here you go, Kelly. And so this is my rap sheet. This rap sheet goes 32 pages. 327 mentions of my name. That's still going. It's just trust me when I tell you. That's 32 pages, 10 offenses on each page. And when I called and asked them to send that, they sent it, all right, but I looked through each one of them a lot like a dog or unwanted person, writing out bad checks, drugs, checks, drugs, unwanted person or unwanted entry. When I was going through that and highlighting them, I lived each one of them, and it really hurt when you read that unwanted person. And I remember my parents telling me, Kelly, we love you, but you can't be here. Yeah. You know, I was so high all the time, and, you know, from the window to the floor, you know, and just not like a jittery type high person. I'm not going to say I was that, but I sure was definitely under the influence of something. And when you come into a spirit-filled home, it hits you, you know, and you try to work and try to push in. And I remember my phone accidentally recording audio of my sister and my mom in our garage in Maple Lake saying, you know, Kelly, you can't be here. It's not good for our parents. You should know better. You can't be here. And I was crying, I don't have nowhere to go. And she says, I'm sorry, you can't be here. I'll bring you to a shelter. And then you put that on your parents. You're going to bring me to a shelter? You wait till I tell Dan and Linda. You wait till I tell this and that. You wait till I do this and that, you know. And so then that gets you going. All right, we'll just stay on the couch one more night and, you know, and try and make the peace. And I remember many nights my mom would come down the stairs and she would check to make sure I was breathing. Such love. And she would pray every morning before she'd go to work. And I remember just laying there like a retired millionaire, high, just, you know, doing my own thing. But what about my boys? My boys started doing drugs and alcohol and began their own criminal activity. I have 3 boys out there, 2 from one father, 1 from another, and another. And my dad's like, you gotta quit bringing home trophies, you know, or kids. We're raising them, and you're not, you know. And it's just a shame they call me Kelly. And they don't know, I mean, because my parents call me Kelly. They think my mom and dad are their mom and dad because they raised them, bathed them, went through the chicken pox, the doctors, the shoes, and this and that. I remember my sister buying my kids clothing. I never got the concept of being an adult or being held accountable or being responsible. It just was always given to me, or I was always just kind of pushed along by my parents. But I went to prison, like I said, and you would think that I would have straightened up, because I sat in prison. I hated every single second of it, and I just added up everything that everyone did to me, and no one helped me out, and no one came to visit me, and knowing this and knowing that, and woe is me and woe is this. And I never got the rhythm of the day down in prison. I remember drying out in prison. I remember having a baby in prison. I remember a lot of things, and the wailing and crying at night of just yourself and then others around you. It's horrible. It's worse than what you see on TV. It may look nice on the outside, but there's a lot of evil things going on the inside. But I got out of prison. I was back on the drug scene again, flopping from place to place. I thought it was cool being homeless, running around with bags and luggage and this and that. I would always come over to my mom and dad's, and I'd shed my gross clothes and dress up in my mom's clothes. I said I was like a dressed up garbage can, is more or less what I was like. I took up with a married man who was heading to the drug scene. October 25th of 2014, I was on my way to a benefit, keeping in mind that I'm higher than the empire, and I'm wearing a t-shirt and a pair of men's boxer brief underwear. Going to a benefit, and a VFW or wherever it would be in Maple Lake, so high, I thought it was okay not to be dressed. And people around me were so high that it was normal that I was like that. I mean, and you know, when that, this scene is drugs, sex, and rock and roll. I can't say I'm better at, I never did this or did that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that it's a dark, dark place where you go where no man has ever gone. There's not a TV show that would ever depict of the things that I've seen, of the things that I thought was overlooked that would be okay. I know for a fact that praying parents and praying pastors and praying friends were there, because I should have been shot and killed for me and my big mouth many times. But I was driving on a dirt road just right outside of Maple Lake, and I was fighting with a married man that I just had a real deep connection with. I call it a Harley Davidson love. And he was holding on the side of the truck, and I was scared and freaked out and just saying, I'll be back, I'm just going to a benefit, and I'm gonna meet my mom and dad's. Keeping in mind, it's probably 8 minutes before the benefit's over, but in my mind, it took me, I was up 9 days, had more makeup on me than Tammy Faye Baker, you know, just applied and reapplied and applied and reapplied, and my hair standing up like the 80s, and he's holding on to the side of the truck, and I'm swinging it, driving down the road slow, swinging the wheel left and right to try and whip him off of me. And I stopped. I said, I'll be back. I'm going to a benefit. And I flicked his fingers off of the side of the window and the door. And when he fell down, he fell underneath the wheel behind me when I took off down the road. And I didn't know I ran over somebody. I almost took someone's life in this addiction. And he was in a coma, an induced coma for 6 weeks, with everything from hip to shoulder and a brain, blood bubbles in his brain. Please forgive me, I don't mean it to be, light of it. And I swore up and down then I would never use again. Who am I to take a life? Who is this? And da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And I sat in a jail cell, because they take you to jail. And when they took me to jail, I said, well, why am I not going into a holding cell for a driving ticket? And they just ignored me. But 4 hours later, I had Steve Sims, I believe was his name, he's a detective, and he said, you're going to be going to jail for a long time, if not prison. You almost killed, or we think he's going to die, Sean Payne. And I said, my God, have mercy. And you're numb, and I got a meth pipe, because my addiction's so bad, in my sports bra, trying to get it into the jail, or whatever, thinking I'm just going to be for a driving ticket and I'll be out like shout, in and out. So you wanna cry and you can't cry because you're numb. You're so high and you think you're normal, you know, and you think you can't sit still and you're antsy and you think that you're actually normal. And that everyone else is messed up or everyone else is, on some dumb stuff. But, so I sat in jail and I remember, crying and freaking out and I need some help. I gotta get some help. I'll never do this again. Oh my God, Jesus, if you can only, jailhouse Jesus, if you can get me out of this one, sweet Jesus, this is all I need. And a long story short, Sean came out of his coma and said it was an accident. And so I was released out of jail to Minnesota Dalton Teen Challenge, where I learned how to paracord. I just paracord my little heart out. It just speaks to my heart, gives me something to do. I just love it. But that didn't last very long. I started using again. With my oldest son in a Plymouth apartment, just off of probation, and in a broken meth pipe and an ashtray, just the dirty of dirties. And I started acting wild and nuts again. Long story short, of course, then you go at it bigger and badder and worse than ever. And your family is like, oh, we thought you were done. What is going on? No, I'm not up to nothing. I'm not up to nothing. I'm not coming over to your house. You ain't got nothing to worry about. My mom's spirit man's smarter than that. And my dad's full show is smarter than that. And then there's my sister that has been around the block with us, that she knows before they know, and so it's not happening. She's our boss applesauce in the house, so we definitely dance to her beat when we're on beat. But well, I was glad I haven't been sent to prison. I went to Teen Challenge with the notion that I could fake it, play games, manipulate, and do what I wanted to do, but also scared of the outcome with the continual panic and anxiety attacks. 1 year I called 911 87 times for a panic and anxiety and thinking I was gonna die. 87 times in a year. Figure that out, that's quite often. And that's high and not high, it's just all that. And it does something in your mind when you do methamphetamine that long. You can't do something that long and not get pickled,
That's
per
right.
se.
Amen.
I know I should be more advanced in my, how the children have a percentile. I just know that I know, and I'm not asking, whoa, poor Kelly, because I just know that I should be more advanced in what I'm doing and how I act, as I gauge how you guys are. Just get what I'm trying to say. But I was disappointed that the jail and the courts asked me to do, you have to follow all recommendations, and they recommend that I do long-term, and I said, no, I'll just do outpatient treatment. But since I was off the hook and charged with driving, causing unknowingly great bodily harm, and leaving the scene of a crime was my charge of crime, which the 100 days that I sat in jail took that up, and so I was even per se, and so I thought, oh, well, then that gives me room to do whatever. So there I was, worse than anything and everything that I could possibly imagine, because you had all that hate and anger and entitlement all pent up. So here I am in Waverly at a trap house. A trap house is a house where you go do drugs, you go do this, you go do that, and you can just flop there like a flop house. And as I had a huge spice jar, the spice racks that twirl around, I had it all full of methamphetamine, probably maybe $1,000 or so worth of methamphetamine. On the street it would have been maybe $3,500 worth, $4,000 worth of methamphetamine. And I'm holding it in my hand as I'm watching the police barricade and do the, scan the house and hold out the house. And right, I'm in the bathroom. Keep it in mind, I could put it in the toilet, I could have put it in the shower, I could have walked out of there, but I didn't. I held on to that demon of control and of that feeling of being high and the great I am. And I held on to that, and I held on to that. And I'm doing like this, and they came in, they busted in. I went to jail again. They're like, this time Zitzloff, it is on and popping. You are not going to see the light of day. We finally got you after all these years. So there I sat at court the next day, and they're like, Zitzloff, time for court. And I went to stand up, and I fell. They're like, nice try. You're getting up, and you're going to court. I said, I can't. I didn't know that I had diabetes so bad. My blood sugars were like, I think, 795 or 820. And I couldn't move. And I didn't, and it's like, I can do this, you know what, I'll just hold my kneecaps and just kind of get myself going. You know how you walk in the morning until you straighten up? I thought that was it. No, I had to go to the medical and get help and get on some prescription, pills, metformin and such. And so 2 days later, they brought me to court, and they said, you are going to be out the streets. You're a menace. You're a danger. You've been in our county for 20 years. You've been dealing meth left and right like a cray-cray. You're going to jail. You're going to prison, and we might put you in federal prison. I, again, was high, so I just numb to it and think, I'm going to get out. I got dope money still left, and I got this and that, and I got, pretty big names under my belt. And all of a sudden, no one's answering their phones. Nothing's working. And I'm stuck there alone for months. And so while I was there, I began to do what you always do in a rough situation. You buddy up with people and you collaborate. Well, I buddied up with jailers. I went to skills. I went to the programs that they have there. I got dried out. I got I got, myself thinking halfway correctly, not all the way. But I got to be kind of close with the captain, with the sheriff before that, Joe Haggerty, nice Christian guy. He said he's always had a heart for me, and he's always saw something good in me. And so when he left office to Sean Derringer, which is an awesome man of God. And he has just a huge heart for me. And so I went to court, and there he was. And he talked to the prosecutor and asked them to help me help myself. Yeah. To help me help myself. So I paid a large bail, and I paid, and I got furloughed, meaning if I didn't go to Teen Challenge, then I'd have to come back. So there I am in Teen Challenge, and I think, I got what I wanted. Dummies. And I remember calling Sean Payne's, outside of what I'm supposed to be doing, which was taking that heat for serious and taking that final finale as something serious, because I was really seriously looking at that many years. I had red-handed, fingerprinted a lot of methamphetamine on me, and I didn't take it serious again. It was about 8 months into the program. It's called Spiritual Emphasis Week. And at 8 months into the program, when they shut down everything and they have these pastors and preachers come in, and it's solid praising and praying God in warfare, something hit me, and I bawled and I cried and I shook and I did everything. Everything on my body moved, and I broke that chain of bondage, that chain of addiction, that everything in my life has been nothing but heaven for me. I've done so much. I've wrote a book with I'm just going to tell you the things that I've done. Well, and one more good thing, or not one more. While I was in Teen Challenge and I graduated with honors, and to graduate with honors, you have these packets, and you have to do at least 11 or 12. I did 24. Girl, you couldn't stop me. I was just hungry for it all. And I would just really walk tall, and I always had a continual song in my heart, as my mom did when we were growing up, and I had a continual move in my groove. I always said I had more moves than U-Haul, more game than Hasbro and Parker Brothers. I try not to chuck and jive like that, because it's a trigger for me, and I get triggered not easy, but 70s sunny weather and 70s music, is a trigger for me, and it's getting to be like that. And so I am going through a few things right now, and I do have some challenges. I worry about my past showing up. I worry about people coming and getting a hold of me. I freeze. I stay with my brother Kevin because it feels safe, I feel secure, I feel, I just feel safe and secure. The sheriff of Wright County, like I said, Sheriff Derringer, called me up and he said, well, what are you up to, Kelly? And I said, oh, nothing, just probably reading the law book or something. And he said, my wife and I prayed and wanted to know if we could bless you with our family car. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. It is so beautiful. And he hugs me. His wife calls me, tells me how proud they are of me.
Praise God.
I said, I just stood there and he stood to court and he asked them to help and they said, we've never done this. And they said, by the way, the sheriff before him sent me a message, Kelly the judge, and asked if I would consider, giving you a step down of probation or so you wanted to go to prison. And I said, I won't be able to make it again in prison. I know I deserve to go to prison. But in order to ask mercy, I have to admit that I'm wrong. If I want grace and I want mercy, I have to admit that I'm wrong. And so I went to Jesus and I said, Jesus, forgive me, a sinner saved by you. And when I look at these 327 plus mentions, you go to Jesus and he said, yes, Lord, I did all of these. And he says, I know you did, Kelly. And he says, but I paid every single one of these in full. Hallelujah. Amen. Paid in full. 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 He turned my life around. I'm not the same. I'm not the same. I now work for Minnesota Dalton Teen Challenge as a recovery coach. A whole bunch of my mom used to say, Kelly, I can't take it. I said, Mom, I deal with all them little Kellys. Girl, everywhere.
Yeah.
Can we do this? Yes, you can. I'm a yes girl. And I'm all about rewards. I'm all about, I got them all paracording. I got them all making jewelry. I got them doing everything. It's a pleasure and honor to I look outside and every day, or I'll do a jig and a dance, and I just got happy feet. And I just sing the Spirit of the Lord when he moves in your heart, like dance like David.
Yeah.
I'll run like David. I got a little jig in me. But God ain't finished with me. I cuss here and there every now and then. I get a little crazy, but I come back.
Amen.
I'm challenged with anxiety and panic that wants to attach to my body. I call my pastor often. I call Janine often. I've called Nancy sometimes. I ask for help when I think I'm coming apart at the seams. I've never had a relationship with my sister. I now have a relationship with my sister. I have a relationship with my family. My mom and dad are starting to trust me again. I've gotten my license. I got a Harley Davidson. I'm not sure if that was God, but I got one.
Praise God.
That's all I do, and then I get off of it. And I get back on again. But
Kelly.
my boys call me Mom. I'm so blessed to just I just feel it, and when I feel it, I cry. I have a sensitive spirit, man, to a lot of things, and I try not to be pushy and overbearing. I know I can be at sometimes, but God bless his soul. I asked Pastor Dan. I said, Pastor Dan, I need a husband. I got so much to tell him. And he said, I said, when, Pastor Dan, when? And he said, Kelly, when you're running that race, he's going to be to your right, and you're going to know. And I hang on to that nugget and that pearl.
Yeah.
And I ask God, I'm ready. I got plans. An apple tree, not so much. I tried to, grow hard things. And I try to keep quiet in hard places. And I don't always make that mark. But I just want you guys to know that I know each and every one of you have heard my name many times throughout the years. But I'm here to tell you that I've changed. And I don't ever see me going back to the way it was. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm doing more now than I've ever can imagine in my lifetime. Ever in my lifetime. And Wendy, you have anything you want to say?
I'll cry.
Well, that's the Holy Spirit. But I remember she's a good prayer warrior. I said, when do you pray? We were on for 5 minutes. And then I thought, Jesus. But Mom, is there something that you wanted to say?
Just that him
Yes.
alone, he does answer. I gave up over and over and over. And then I said, God, forgive me. I brushed myself off. And I went at it again. I never dreamed, honestly, 25 years.
Amen.
I thought, God, there can't be any hope left. But I would beg people to pray for me and pray for Kelly. And I'm thankful. Words can't express how thankful I am.
No, I try to think of how I can express, and the only thing I can do is just give that glory and the honor to God.
Amen.
Over and over again. And
Yeah.
then when it wells up,
Yeah.
I pray in tongues, I speak in tongues, and I can see the enemy a mile away.
Yeah.
And when you look for it, you're gonna find it. I've done some things I probably shouldn't have done, or I do. Sin is sin, so I'm not gonna try and compromise with it. So, but I ask for forgiveness, but if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. And so, I'm glad that I'm saved. I know that Jesus died on the cross for my sins. I know I'm forgiven. I know that he's paid it in full. I got a little road ahead of me. I know that I don't have everything it takes, but I have the seed that's in me.
Amen.
I would love to go speak to the nations about my Jesus and what he's done for me. And I want to thank you guys for listening to me and opening up your hearts. I have some paracord bracelets back there. Any donation or no donation, just a prayer that you touch that bucket and that you put blessing on that. But any donation goes towards the Minnesota Dalton Teen Challenge to buy them things. They do need bingo prizes. Is what the last thing on Facebook was yesterday. So I just want you to be moved by your spirit, man, and not by anything I say or do. But I do want you to know there is a need, and if anything, there's a need for prayer for them, because they all come off the streets, and they all come dirty, infested,
Hungry.
broken down, hungry. Most of them have a lot of diseases, and so I mask up. I'm one of the few that do. I try to play it safe, and I try to do my part, but I also want to protect me and myself. I don't want to go at it all willy-nilly. I want to be responsible. But when they see me, they come running up to me, and they said, "Are you that girl? Are you that girl that loves us? And what do you have for us?" And I always come with something for them. I think that the reward system is good. I don't know why I think that. But I do, and again, I just want to thank you, Pastor Linda, and thank your husband. Thank you for the song that you put in my heart when you played. I love you guys.
Praise God.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Good testimony.
Amen.
Great answers to prayer.
Amen. Amen.
God is faithful.
Yes, he is.
So we've heard how he provides, he heals, and he delivers.